Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Your personality is your business card to the world. It walks in the room before you do, and it stays long after you're gone. And the best part, you can work on it. You can sharpen it. You can improve it every single day. Personality isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, refine, and grow every day. From the moment you open your eyes in the morning to the moment your head hits the pillow at night, you're given opportunities to shape who you are. People often say, that's just how I am, as if personality is set in stone. But the truth is, that's an excuse. Personality is fluid. It evolves with your choices, your mindset, and your actions. You are not locked into any version of yourself unless you choose to be. Every conversation you have, every reaction you give, every challenge you face is a chance to either stay the same or elevate who you are. You build your personality with your attitude toward failure, your discipline in hard times, and your kindness when nobody's looking. It's in the way you speak to strangers, the way you handle being told no, and the way you deal with success without arrogance. Improving your personality is about paying attention to your habits, how you show up, how you listen, how you support others, and how you carry yourself in moments of discomfort. You're shaping your personality whether you're aware of it or not, so why not be intentional? Take time each day to look at your behavior and ask yourself, is this helping me become the kind of person I admire? That daily self-check can guide you in building a version of yourself that's not only likable, but magnetic. Don't wait for some perfect day or big moment to change. Real transformation happens in the little, quiet things you do consistently. And over time, those small efforts turn into a powerful personality that opens doors, inspires others, and reflects your true potential. Small, consistent habits shape a strong, charismatic personality over time. It's not about doing something huge once in a while. It's about the little things you do every single day, even when no one's watching. That's where the real power is. Personality isn't built in one motivational moment. It's built in the quiet choices, the subtle shifts, the daily discipline. When you smile at a stranger, when you choose patience over anger, when you hold back from gossip, when you decide to wake up 10 minutes earlier to reflect or pray or plan, those are the habits that mold who you are. They don't seem like much in the moment, but compounded over weeks, months, and years, they become the foundation of a personality that people are drawn to. The consistency is what brings the change. If you only try to be kind when it's easy or disciplined when it's convenient, you won't see any transformation. But if you stay steady in the small things, your character will develop in a way that no one can fake. That's how leaders are made. That's how respect is earned. Let's talk real. Some people are waiting for a magical change in their lives before they start improving themselves. They think, when I get that job, when I lose the weight, when life slows down, then I'll start working on me. But it doesn't work that way. You've got to bring change to the day you're living right now. Wake up and decide today, no matter what, you're going to be just a little bit better than yesterday. Maybe you start by complimenting one person sincerely. Maybe you read a page of a book that stretches your thinking. Maybe you just sit down and breathe instead of reacting emotionally to a problem. These things aren't flashy, but they're powerful. They're the steps to becoming someone people trust, admire, and feel good around. You don't need to fake being charming or pretend to be confident. When you develop these good habits slowly, consistently, over time, they become you. You start to feel grounded. And people feel that when they're around you. And don't underestimate how much those habits impact your own sense of peace. A strong personality isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you feel about yourself when the room is quiet. When you've made a habit of being honest, of doing what you said you'd do, of handling stress without losing your mind, you gain a quiet kind of confidence. It's not loud. It's not performative. It's steady. That's the kind of presence that doesn't need attention. It commands attention. Not because it demands anything from people, but because it naturally attracts them. That's what small habits do. People sometimes look at confident, charismatic individuals and think they were born that way. But more often than not, those people have been putting in work, daily, boring, quiet work. For years, they've trained their minds to focus, their mouths to speak with respect, and their hearts to lead with empathy. That didn't happen overnight. It happened through repetition, through decisions, through intentionality. And anyone can start that journey. You don't need a stage, a platform, or a spotlight. You just need a commitment to being better today than you were yesterday, and a willingness to keep showing up for yourself, even when no one else claps. Because real personality is built in the process. The people you surround yourself with can either feed or starve your personal growth. You might think you're strong enough to rise on your own. And while independence is powerful, no one thrives in isolation. Every conversation you have, every environment you put yourself in, every relationship you invest your time and energy into, they all contribute to the person you're becoming. If you're constantly around negative, critical, small-minded people, that energy seeps into you whether you realize it or not. You start doubting your dreams. You start shrinking your personality to fit in. You start lowering your standards without even meaning to. That's the danger of being in the wrong circle. You lose pieces of yourself while trying to keep the peace or avoid judgment. But the opposite is also true. When you place yourself around people who speak with vision, who move with discipline, who chase growth like their lives depend on it, you start rising too. You start thinking differently. You speak with more clarity. You become more intentional with your time, and you hold yourself to a higher standard, not because someone is forcing you, but because you feel inspired to grow. Your environment becomes a mirror, and what you see in others begins to reflect in you. Their energy pushes you to be better. Their mindset makes you think bigger. And their standards remind you of your own potential. That's why choosing the right company is one of the most important investments you can make in your personality. Sometimes growth requires distance. That's a hard truth a lot of people don't want to face. But you've got to learn when someone is holding you back more than helping you grow. You can love people from a distance. You can care about them without letting them constantly drain your peace, your confidence, your identity. It takes courage to step away from relationships that no longer serve the person you're becoming. But protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's necessary. You've got dreams to chase. You've got character to build. And you can't afford to stay in a place where your light is dimmed just to make someone else comfortable. Your personality doesn't grow in toxic soil. If the people around you laugh at your ambition, belittle your ideas, constantly bring drama, never support your wins, you have to ask yourself why you're still choosing to keep them close. Loyalty should never cost you your peace. Respect should never be one-sided. And true friends don't hold you back. They challenge you to level up. They correct you with love. They push you forward when you doubt yourself. They clap for you even when they're still climbing too. That kind of support system doesn't just boost your personality, it strengthens it at the core. It teaches you confidence without arrogance, strength without pride, and success without compromise. Even if your current circle isn't helping you grow, you can make a change. Start by becoming the kind of person you want to be around. Show up with honesty, kindness, courage, and discipline. That energy will attract others who move the same way. And if it takes time, be patient. Building a strong inner circle isn't about quantity, it's about quality. A few real ones are more valuable than 100 half-hearted connections. Remember, your surroundings influence your mindset, your habits, your self-talk, and your vision. If you want to improve your personality every day, start paying attention to who's speaking into your life and choose wisely whose voice you let shape your future. Confidence comes from action, not from waiting to feel ready. This is one of the most misunderstood truths when it comes to personal development. So many people hold themselves back, waiting for some magical moment when they'll finally feel confident enough to speak up, start something new, step into the spotlight, or walk into a room with their head held high. But that moment doesn't come through waiting. It comes through doing. Confidence isn't something you're given. It's something you earn through movement, through risk, through small acts of courage that teach you that you can handle more than you think. Think about anything you were once scared of. Maybe public speaking, maybe starting a conversation with someone new, maybe trying something you've never done before. In the beginning, it felt awkward, uncomfortable, maybe even terrifying. But the more you did it, the more natural it became. That's because confidence grows through repetition. Each time you take action, even if you mess up a little, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You build a record in your mind of courage, of persistence, of strength. And eventually, that becomes the foundation of real, unshakable confidence. Not the fake kind that needs applause, but the real kind that shows up even when no one's looking. Waiting until you feel confident is a trap. Emotions are temporary, and fear is a liar that often exaggerates the worst outcomes in your head. If you listen to that fear long enough, you'll start to believe that you're not enough, that you're not ready, that other people are better, smarter, more qualified. But all that does is keep you stuck. The only way to silence that fear is to move anyway. Do it while you're nervous. Speak while your voice shakes. Take the step even if your hands are trembling. Because with each brave move, you're telling fear it doesn't get to run your life. Every confident person you admire once stood where you are. Uncertain, insecure, unsure of how things would go. But they moved anyway. They failed, they learned, they got back up. And eventually they built the confidence you now see in them. That's how it works. There's no shortcut. No amount of reading, planning, or dreaming can replace the power of action. And the beauty of this truth is that it puts the power back in your hands. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't need approval. You just need the courage to act. Confidence also grows when you keep promises to yourself. When you say, I'm going to wake up early, and you do it. When you say, I'll speak up in that meeting, and you follow through. When you say, I'm going to start being more positive, and you actually practice that attitude each day. Those small moments of discipline become deposits into your self-respect. And the more you respect yourself, the more confidence you naturally carry. People can feel it. You don't even have to announce it. Your energy speaks before you do. So don't wait. Don't sit on your goals until the perfect mood strikes. Take the leap, even if it's a small one. Apply for that position. Speak your idea out loud. Post the content. Walk into that room with your back straight. Make that difficult phone call. Try something new. Each action is a seed of confidence. And as you water those seeds with consistency and courage, they grow into a personality that radiates strength, not because you never felt fear, but because you've learned to move through it. Your words, thoughts, and attitude are the roots of your personality. They shape how you show up in the world, how you deal with people, and how you handle yourself in every situation. Most people underestimate the power of what goes on in their own minds and the things they say every day. But these are the things that slowly, quietly, and consistently build the core of your personality. If your thoughts are constantly negative, critical, or full of doubt, that energy begins to leak into your tone, your posture, your facial expressions, and eventually your behavior. Even if you try to hide it, people pick up on that energy. The mind is where everything starts, and what you let sit in your thoughts eventually shows up in your life. Your thoughts become the filter through which you see the world. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, that people don't like you, or that nothing ever goes your way, you begin to carry yourself in a way that confirms those beliefs. You may hesitate to speak up. You may shy away from opportunities. You may assume the worst in others or never try because you already think you'll fail. And with every choice driven by that mindset, you reinforce the version of yourself you're trying to outgrow. The key to breaking that cycle is learning to be intentional with your inner voice. Speak to yourself with strength, clarity, and truth. It doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means choosing thoughts that build you up instead of tearing you down. Your words, both to yourself and to others, are a reflection of your inner state. The person who constantly complains, criticizes, or brings others down is showing you what's happening inside of them. Likewise, someone who speaks with encouragement, honesty, and grace shows a personality rooted in self-awareness and strength. You can change how people experience you by changing the way you speak. If you start your day with gratitude, speak kindly even when frustrated, and choose to lift others rather than compete with them, you become someone others want to be around. That type of communication shapes your reputation. It shows maturity, discipline, and emotional intelligence, qualities that are at the heart of a powerful personality. Attitude is the third pillar that ties it all together. Your attitude is the lens you carry into every room. It's not just about being positive in a superficial way. It's about choosing to see the lesson in the struggle, choosing to keep moving even when things aren't perfect, and choosing to be respectful even when others aren't. A strong attitude doesn't mean you never feel discouraged. It means you don't let discouragement define how you treat people or how you carry yourself. The more you train your attitude to stay grounded, the more trustworthy and magnetic your personality becomes. You might not be able to control every situation, but you always have control over how you think, how you speak, and how you respond. And that control is powerful. When you align your thoughts, words, and attitude with the person you want to be, your actions begin to follow. You don't have to fake anything. You're simply operating from a place of truth and purpose. Over time, this alignment transforms your personality into one that's calm under pressure, uplifting in conversations, and clear in direction. That's what people remember. Not how loud you were or how perfect you seemed, but how they felt around you. Your thoughts, words, and attitude shape that feeling, and they shape the person you become. You can't grow if you're always trying to stay comfortable. Stretch yourself daily. Growth and comfort do not live in the same space. The very moment you choose comfort over challenge, you stop evolving. Most people want to improve their personality, build confidence, and become better versions of themselves, but they hesitate the moment things feel unfamiliar or hard. That hesitation is natural, but if you let it control you, it becomes a wall that keeps you from your potential. Growth requires discomfort. It demands that you do things you're not good at yet, face truths you might not want to hear, and step into situations where failure is possible. But it's in those uncomfortable moments that your character begins to take shape. You don't become more courageous by avoiding fear. You become courageous by walking through it. You don't build patience by having everything go your way. You build it by dealing with delays and learning to stay grounded. Every aspect of personality that truly matters, resilience, empathy, humility, Discipline comes from experiences that stretch. But the mistake many people make is thinking they need to wait for life to push them. The truth is, you have to push yourself. Challenge yourself intentionally. Speak up even when it's easier to stay silent. Try something new even if it feels awkward. Stand up for what's right even when it's uncomfortable. That's the stretching that creates growth. Stretching yourself isn't about being reckless or pushing so hard that you burn out. It's about moving just a little beyond your comfort zone every single day. If you do that consistently, your comfort zone begins to expand. What once scares you becomes normal. What once seemed out of reach becomes something you now do with ease. And that constant stretching builds a personality that can adapt, handle pressure, and remain steady even in chaos. Life will always throw challenges your way, but if you train yourself to grow through stretching, you won't collapse under pressure. You'll rise through it. The problem with staying too comfortable is that it creates a false sense of stability. You might think everything is fine, but deep down, you're shrinking. You're not using your voice. You're not learning anything new. You're not putting your talents to work. And after a while, that comfort begins to feel like a trap. It turns into boredom. Then boredom turns into frustration. Then frustration turns into bitterness. The only way to stop that spiral is to move stretch toward growth. You don't need to take giant leaps every day, but you do need to take steps. Stretching also reveals things about you that you can't learn in stillness. You find out what you're really made of, what you believe in, what you're willing to fight for, and what values you hold closest. You discover strengths you didn't know you had, and you uncover areas that still need work. That self-awareness is priceless. It gives your personality depth. It gives your presence authenticity. It gives your voice weight. When people see that you're constantly working to grow, they trust you more. They're drawn to you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real and you're trying. At the end of the day, personality is like a muscle. If you don't use it, stretch it, and challenge it, it stays the same. But if you stretch it, feed it, and keep showing up even when it's hard, it grows stronger every single day. You'll find yourself walking into situations that once terrified you and handling them with calm. You'll catch yourself speaking with confidence where you used to second guess everything. And it all starts with choosing to stretch, not just once, but daily. That's how real growth happens. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. Improving yourself doesn't happen overnight. It's not about some grand gesture or a sudden miracle. It's about the small steps, the choices you make every single day that shape who you are tomorrow. You see, life isn't about waiting for opportunity to knock. It's about becoming the kind of person opportunity wants to find. Every day is a chance to grow, to be better, and to step closer to the life you've always dreamed of. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with something that is absolutely crucial if you want to improve yourself day by day, and that is believing in yourself. Now, I don't just mean saying, yeah, I believe in myself, and then going about your day the same way you always do. I'm talking about the kind of belief that roots deep down in your soul, the kind that refuses to be shaken by failure, by doubt, by anyone telling you that you can't. Belief in yourself is the foundation of everything. You can have all the talent in the world, all the knowledge, all the opportunities lined up for you, but if you don't believe that you're capable, none of it will matter. You will stumble before you even get started, and life will pass you by while you sit there wondering, what if? I see it every day. People wait for someone else to validate them. They wait for someone to say, you can do this, or you're ready, you're good enough. And here's the thing that validation will not always come. You cannot depend on others to give you the permission to chase your dreams. You have to give yourself that permission. You have to stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say, I can do this. I will do this. I deserve this. And then you must mean it. It's not enough to say it if you don't believe it in your heart. You have to live it. You have to carry that belief with you through every challenge, every setback, every person who tries to tell you no. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It is not thinking you are better than anyone else. It's knowing your value, understanding your strengths, and being willing to work hard to overcome your weaknesses. It's telling yourself that your dreams are valid and that you have what it takes to achieve them, even when the world doubts you. Too many people sell themselves short. They compare themselves to others, think they aren't good enough. But let me tell you something. There's nobody in this world exactly like you. Nobody has your experiences, your voice, your heart, your mind. And if you don't believe in your uniqueness, no one else will see it either. Belief in yourself also gives you courage. It gives you the courage to take risks, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to pursue things that scare you. Because here's the truth, growth happens on the edge of fear. You will never grow by staying safe, by playing it small, by doing the same things you've always done. Belief is what propels you to walk into a room full of strangers and network when you feel shy. It's what pushes you to start that business even when you're scared of failing. It's what motivates you to keep practicing, keep learning, and keep improving even when progress is slow. Without belief, fear will always win, and fear will keep you stuck where you are. And let's be honest, setbacks are going to happen. Life is going to knock you down. But when you believe in yourself, setbacks don't defeat you, they teach you. They remind you that you are human, but they don't define you. The difference in people who succeed and people who give up is not that one group never fails. It's that the successful ones never stop believing in themselves when failure comes knocking. They take the lessons, adjust, and move forward with even more determination. I want you to understand something important. Believing in yourself is a daily practice. It's not something you achieve once and then check off your list. Every morning when you wake up, you have to reaffirm that belief. Every time you face a challenge, you have to remind yourself of your strength. Every time someone doubts you, you have to speak louder to yourself than the noise around you. This is how you grow day by day. You strengthen your belief muscle until it becomes unshakable, until it becomes the driving force behind every decision, every action, every step you take toward the life you want. Ladies and gentlemen, your belief in yourself is the first step on the journey of improvement. It is the spark that lights the fire of change, the energy that keeps you moving forward when things get tough, and the shield that protects you from negativity. Without belief, nothing else works. With belief, there is nothing you cannot achieve. You have to trust yourself, you have to honor yourself, and you have to commit to the idea that you are capable of greatness. So start today. Stand tall, hold your head high, and tell yourself, I can, I will, I am enough. Because the truth is, you've had that power inside of you all along. You just have to claim it and let it guide you day by day. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about growth. If you want to improve yourself day by day, you have to embrace learning every single day. And I'm not talking about just school learning or reading a textbook. I'm talking about a mindset, a way of living where every moment is an opportunity to gain knowledge, to grow, and to become better than you were yesterday. The world is moving fast. Opportunities come and go like lightning. And the only way to keep up, the only way to make sure you're ready when life knocks on your door is to keep learning. You've got to be hungry for knowledge, hungry for understanding, and hungry for improvement. Too many people think they've learned enough. They think, I'm done. I know what I need to know. But let me tell you, the moment you stop learning, you start falling behind. Life is a classroom, and every day it is teaching you something. The question is, are you paying attention? Are you open to the lessons, or are you too proud to admit that you don't know everything? Even the most successful people on this planet, the ones you admire, are constantly learning. They read, they listen, they observe, they try new things, and they never stop growing. Embracing learning every day doesn't have to be complicated. It's about small steps that compound over time. It's reading 10 pages of a book a day, listening to a podcast that inspires you, learning a new skill, or even asking someone more experienced for advice. Every little bit adds up. Every small piece of knowledge is a brick in the foundation of your success. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. 10 minutes of learning every day might seem insignificant, but over a month, over a year, it transforms your mind. It changes your perspective. It changes what you believe is possible for yourself. And let's talk about mistakes, because learning and mistakes go hand in hand. Many people are afraid to try new things because they fear failing or looking foolish. But here's the truth: failure is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. Every time you stumble, every time you get knocked down, there is a lesson in that experience. There is something to learn about yourself, about others, and about the world around you. The key is to pay attention, to reflect, and to adjust. Don't just go through life hoping things work out. Learn from your experiences. Learn from your failures. Learn from the people who have walked the path before you. This is how you grow every single day. Embracing learning also means being curious. Curiosity is the fuel for growth. Ask questions. Ask why. Oh, and what if? Don't accept things at face value. Challenge yourself to understand more deeply. Explore new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new perspectives. The more curious you are, the more doors open for you. Knowledge doesn't just give you power. It gives you freedom. It frees you from ignorance, from fear, from limitations you put on yourself. The more you know, the more confident you become, and the more you can take control of your life. Another thing I want you to understand is that learning is not just for career or business. It's for life. Learn about people. Learn about relationships. Learn about money. Learn about health. Learn about how to communicate better. Life is complicated, and the more you understand it, the better equipped you are to navigate it successfully. When you commit to learning every day, you are investing in yourself in a way that nothing else can replace. You are building a mind that is adaptable, resourceful, and ready for whatever life throws at you. And here's the secret that many people miss: learning is not just about accumulating facts. It's about transformation. It's about taking what you learn and putting it into action. Knowledge without action is wasted potential. You can read all the books in the world, watch all the videos, listen to all the mentors, but if you don't apply what you learn, you're not improving. Every lesson you take in, you must practice, implement, and live. That is how you grow day by day, step by step. Ladies and gentlemen, when you embrace learning every day, you are choosing growth over comfort. You are saying yes to possibility, yes to opportunity, and yes to becoming the best version of yourself. You are giving yourself the tools to handle life's challenges, the wisdom to make better decisions, and the confidence to pursue your dreams without fear. Remember, growth is a journey, and learning is the engine that drives that journey forward. Every day is a chance to learn something new, to challenge yourself, and to move closer to the life you deserve. Don't waste a single day. Commit to learning, commit to growing, and watch how your life changes day by day. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about something that separates successful people from those who stay stuck, and that is taking full responsibility for your actions. I mean, really owning your life. See, So many people go through life blaming everything and everyone else for where they are. They blame their parents, their teachers, their boss, the economy, their friends, even the weather sometimes. And they wonder why nothing changes. Let me tell you something. When you spend your life pointing fingers, you give away your power. You give away the one thing that can truly change your life: accountability. Taking responsibility is about understanding that your life is in your hands. If you want something different, you have to do something different. It's not the circumstances that hold you back. It's how you respond to them. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how you react. You can't choose the cards you're dealt, but you can decide how to play them. And when you stop blaming the world and start blaming yourself, don't get me wrong, I don't mean beating yourself up, but recognizing your role in your life, you become unstoppable because now you are in charge. You see, accountability gives you power. It's the moment you stop saying, "They didn't give me a chance," and start saying, "I will make my own chance." It's the moment you stop saying, "Life isn't fair," and start saying, "I'm going to figure out how to win anyway." When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to fix things for you. You stop waiting for life to hand you what you want. You take the wheel and you drive your own destiny. And here's the thing, responsibility is not easy. It's easier to blame, to make excuses, to point fingers. It's easier to stay comfortable in your misery than to own up to your choices and their consequences. But nothing worthwhile is ever easy. Every successful person you know took responsibility for their life. They accepted that mistakes happen, that failures happen, and that life is full of challenges. But they also accepted that they are responsible for how they respond, for the effort they put in, and for the results they create. When you take responsibility, you also stop learning from your mistakes. When you stop blaming, you start reflecting. You see what went wrong, and you figure out how to do better next time. Every failure becomes a lesson, every setback becomes a stepping stone, and every difficulty becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. But if you keep blaming, you keep staying stuck, and nothing changes. Accountability turns every challenge into a teacher. It turns every problem into a chance to get better. And let me tell you something else. Responsibility creates respect. People respect those who own their lives. People respect those who don't make excuses. When you stand tall and say, "I messed up, but I'm going to fix it," the world notices. And more importantly, you respect yourself. You gain confidence because you know that no matter what happens, you can handle it because you are in control. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is no one owes you anything. Life isn't fair. Doors won't open just because you want them to. But when you take full responsibility for your actions, you gain freedom. Freedom to make choices. Freedom to create the life you want. Freedom to grow day by day. Stop blaming, stop waiting, and start owning your life. Every choice you make, every action you take, it's yours. And when you own it, you change your life. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for opportunity. You create it. You become the kind of person who doesn't complain. You conquers. And that, my friends, is how real growth happens. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that is absolutely essential if you want to improve yourself day by day, and that is discipline. Now, I know when some of you hear the word discipline, you might think it's about being harsh, strict, or boring. But let me tell you something, discipline is freedom. Discipline is the thing that gives you control over your life. It's what separates people who dream from people who achieve. You see, talent can only take you so far. Motivation can only carry you for a little while. But discipline, that's what keeps you going when motivation fades. Discipline is what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Building discipline starts with small, consistent actions. It's not about making huge changes overnight. It's about showing up for yourself every day, even when you don't feel like it. Wake up early. Set goals and stick to them. Do the work when nobody is watching. The little things you do consistently are what compound over time. Think about it like this. Every time you choose to do the right thing, every time you push yourself instead of giving in to comfort, you're building a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, discipline becomes second nature, and you won't even have to think about it. It just happens. Here's the truth. Life is full of distractions. Social media, people who drain your energy, the temptation to procrastinate, the excuses that creep into your mind. Discipline is what keeps you focused despite all of that. You have to decide what you want: more comfort now or success later. Most people choose comfort, and that's why they stay stuck. But when you choose discipline, you choose long-term growth over temporary pleasure. You choose progress over excuses. And I promise you, the results are worth it. Every time you resist that temptation, every time you push through when it's hard, you're getting stronger, smarter, and closer to your goals. Discipline also builds character. When you commit to doing what's right, even when it's difficult, you develop integrity, patience, and resilience. People notice that. They respect that. And more importantly, you respect yourself. You gain confidence because you know that no matter how challenging life gets, you have the inner strength to stay consistent, to stay on track, and to keep moving forward. Discipline isn't just about work. It's about how you handle yourself in every area of life: your health, your relationships, your finances, your personal growth. One of the keys to building discipline is creating habits. Habits are like automatic behaviors that don't require constant willpower. When you make positive actions a habit, waking up early, exercising, reading, planning your day, sticking to your commitments, discipline becomes easier. You don't have to force yourself. It becomes part of your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who does what they say they will do, and that mindset alone propels you forward. Remember, small habits repeated consistently lead to massive results over time. And let me tell you something else. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It's understanding that you owe it to yourself to grow, to improve, and to reach your potential. It's showing up for your own dreams when nobody else is pushing you. Most people quit because it's hard, because it's uncomfortable. But that's exactly why discipline matters. It keeps you moving when everyone else has stopped. It's the difference between talking about what you want and actually achieving it. Discipline also teaches you patience. You start to realize that success doesn't happen overnight. It's the small daily actions that add up. It's the consistent effort that moves you closer to your goals. You learn to trust the process, to stay committed even when results aren't immediate, and to celebrate progress, not perfection. The more disciplined you become, the more control you have over your future. You stop leaving things to chance, and you start designing your life with intention. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to improve yourself day by day, you must build discipline. Wake up early, work hard, stay consistent, create good habits, resist temptation, and push yourself when it's uncomfortable. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and staying committed to your own growth. It's the foundation of success, the backbone of achievement, and the key to unlocking your full potential. When you make discipline a part of who you are, there's nothing you can't accomplish. You will look back and see that all those small, consistent actions added up to a life far greater than you ever imagined. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about success and growth. Who you surround yourself with matters more than almost anything else. I don't care how talented you are, how hard you work, or how smart you think you are. If you're around the wrong people, your growth will be stunted. You become like the people you spend the most time with, whether you realize it or not. Their habits, their mindset, their energy, they rub off on you. And if you're constantly around negativity, laziness, or doubt, it will infect your life. It's that simple. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Steve, these are my friends. I can't just walk away. I understand that. I get it. But listen carefully. You don't have to cut people out completely, but you do have to be careful about how much influence they have over your life. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to be better, and who genuinely celebrate your wins. The right people will lift you up, encourage your growth, and hold you accountable when you're slipping. They don't compete with you in a negative way. They motivate you to reach higher. Think about the most successful people you know. Look at their circle. Do they spend their time with people who complain, make excuses, or settle for mediocrity? No. They spend their time with people who are driven, ambitious, and positive. They understand that their network is their net worth. The right people give you energy. They make you feel like anything is possible. And when you're around them consistently, their mindset becomes yours. You start thinking bigger, dreaming bolder, and acting faster. And here's the thing. Sometimes the right people aren't even in your current circle. Sometimes you have to seek them out, find mentors, attend events, read books from people who inspire you, or join communities where growth is the standard. Don't wait for these people to magically appear in your life. Go find them. Surround yourself with individuals who have already achieved what you want to achieve. Listen to them, learn from them, and emulate their habits. You don't have to copy them exactly, but you need their influence guiding you. On the other hand, you also have to distance yourself from those who drag you down. And I mean, really distance yourself. I'm not talking about being rude or unkind, but you have to protect your energy. If someone constantly complains, criticizes, or discourages you, it doesn't matter how much talent or potential you have. You'll start to believe it too. Toxic people will convince you that your dreams are impossible. They will try to talk you out of going after what you want. And if you let them, you'll stay stuck. The right people lift you, the wrong people pull you down, and it's up to decide which direction you're going to go. Surrounding yourself with the right people also teaches you accountability. When you're around those who are disciplined, focused, and ambitious, they push you to do better. They don't let you off the hook. They remind you of goals when you're about to quit. They challenge you to stay consistent. And here's the beautiful part. You start holding yourself to a higher standard because you see it reflected in those around you. You start to expect more from yourself, not because someone is forcing you, but because you've been inspired to be better. And let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just about business or career. It's about every aspect of your life, your mindset, your relationships, your health, your habits, and your personal growth. If you want to level up in any area, look at the people you're closest to. Do they embody the qualities you want in your life? If not, you need to make changes. Surrounding yourself with the right people is not selfish, it's self-respect. It's understanding that your future is too important to leave to chance or bad influence. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to improve yourself day by day, you must be intentional about the people in your life. Seek out those who inspire, motivate, and challenge you. Limit the influence of negativity, distraction, and toxicity. Your environment shapes you, your circle defines you, and your success depends on it. When you surround yourself with the right people, you don't just improve, you thrive. You grow faster, dream bigger, and achieve more than you ever thought possible. Choose wisely and watch how your life transforms. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about something too many people overlook, and that is gratitude. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Steve, I'm busy trying to get ahead. I don't have time to be thankful. But here's the thing. Gratitude is not just a feel-good idea. It's a powerful tool for personal growth and success. When you appreciate what you have, you open your mind and your heart to possibility. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing in your life to what's already working. And that perspective is everything. It's the difference between someone who complains and someone who conquers. See, too many people spend their lives chasing what they don't have. They're focused on the promotion they haven't gotten, the money they haven't earned, the recognition they haven't received. And while it's okay to have goals and ambitions, and I hope you do, the problem is when you forget to appreciate the journey, you miss the lessons along the way. Gratitude reminds you to pause, reflect, and acknowledge your progress even when it seems small. Because every step forward, every lesson learned, every challenge overcome is something to be thankful for. Gratitude also keeps you humble. When you recognize that you get where you are entirely on your own, that others have helped you, guided you, and supported you along the way, it keeps your ego in check. Humility is essential for growth because when you're humble, you're teachable. You're open to learning, to advice, to feedback. And when you're open, you continue improving day by day. Gratitude is like a mirror. It reflects back to you everything that's working in your life and reminds you that growth is not a solo journey. And here's another thing, gratitude creates resilience. Life is not always easy. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and failures. But when you practice gratitude, even in tough times, you train your mind to focus on what's possible rather than what's lost. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You start to notice solutions instead of problems. And that mindset keeps you moving forward when many would give up. Gratitude gives you perspective, strength, and hope. And those qualities are critical if you want to improve yourself every single day. Gratitude also attracts more positivity into your life. It's like a magnet. The more you appreciate what you have, the more opportunities, people, and blessings seem to come your way. I'm not talking about luck, I'm talking about mindset. People want to be around who are positive, appreciative, and supportive. Your energy draws in more of the same. And when you combine gratitude with action, when you take what you have, appreciate it, and then use it to grow, you start creating momentum. Life begins to respond to your energy, and doors you didn't even see start opening. Another beautiful thing about gratitude is that it strengthens relationships. When you show appreciation to the people around you, your family, friends, mentors, colleagues, it builds trust and deepens connections. People notice when you value them. They respect you more. They want to support you more. Relationships are a big part of success, and gratitude ensures that those relationships are strong and genuine. It's not just about saying thank you. It's about living it, demonstrating it, and letting people know they matter in your journey. Finally, gratitude keeps you grounded while you strive for more. It reminds you that while you chase your dreams, while you work on improving yourself day by day, life is also happening right now. It reminds you to celebrate the wins, big and small, to recognize the progress, and to be thankful for the lessons along the way. When you combine gratitude with belief in yourself, learning, responsibility, discipline, and the right people around you, it completes the circle of growth. A gratitude ensures that your pursuit of success doesn't turn into a chase for more that blinds you to the value of what you already have. Ladies and gentlemen, never forget gratitude. Make it part of your daily practice. Appreciate your journey, your challenges, your lessons, and your achievements. Appreciate the people who support you, the opportunities you have, and the progress you make every single day. Gratitude will keep you humble, resilient, focused, and positive. It will fuel your growth, Strengthen your relationships and attract more of what you need to succeed. When you live with gratitude, you transform not only yourself, but the world around you. And that, my friends, is the power of being thankful every single day. Let me tell you something real tonight. If you're waiting on somebody to show up, to clap for you, to believe in you, to push you forward, let me save you some time. Most of the time, they're not coming. And that's not bad news. That's powerful news. Because the moment you realize you have to do it alone is the moment you stop begging for permission and start building your future. See, everybody wants support, but very few people want responsibility. Everybody wants a team, but before you get a team, you need toughness. Before you get applause, you need endurance. Some of the most important seasons of your life will be quiet. No crowd. No encouragement. Just you, your fear, your doubt, and your decision to keep going anyway. You're going to have nights where nobody checks on you. Mornings where nobody believes in your plan. Days where it feels like the whole world moved on without you. And that's when character is built. That's when champions are made. Because when you can stand alone, you don't break when people walk away. Let me be clear, doing it alone doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're focused. It means you understand that success doesn't come from opinions. It comes from work. You don't need everyone to understand your vision. God didn't give it to everyone. He gave it to you. There will be moments when you feel tired, unmotivated, and unsure. Do it anyway. Feel lonely. Do it anyway. Scared. Do it anyway. Because discipline will carry you where motivation can't. And every step you take alone is preparing you for a moment when the world finally notices. Stop explaining yourself to people who aren't going with you. Stop waiting for validation from people who never had the courage to chase their own dreams. Walk your path. Trust your grind. And when you finally arrive, you'll realize the journey alone was the greatest gift you were ever given. Because if you can build it alone, you can protect it forever. Most people underestimate the power of self-reliance because they are conditioned to look outward for strength. From a young age, we are taught to wait for approval, wait for support, wait for someone more qualified to lead the way. But growth begins the moment you stop waiting. When you choose to rely on yourself, you take full ownership of your actions, your failures, and your victories. That ownership is uncomfortable at first because it removes excuses. There is no one else to blame, no one else to lean on when things get hard. Yet that discomfort is exactly what forges real strength. When you stand alone, you learn how capable you truly are. Doing it alone forces clarity. When no one is advising you, cheering you on, or questioning your choices, you are left with your own voice. In that silence, you discover what you really want instead of what others expect from you. You learn to trust your instincts and sharpen your judgment. Every decision becomes a lesson, every mistake a teacher. You stop copying paths that worked for others and start creating a path that fits your own abilities and values. This process builds confidence that is not dependent on praise or recognition because it is rooted in experience rather than opinion. Self-reliance also develops resilience. When support is absent, quitting becomes tempting. There are moments when progress feels invisible and effort seems wasted. But pushing through those moments trains your mind to endure pressure without collapsing. You learn how to manage disappointment, how to recover from setbacks, and how to keep moving when results are delayed. This resilience becomes a permanent asset. Later in life, when challenges grow bigger and stakes become higher, you are not easily shaken because you have already survived worse with far fewer resources. Another powerful outcome of doing it alone is discipline. Without accountability from others, you must become accountable to yourself. No one is watching, no one is reminding you, no one is enforcing deadlines. The work gets done only if you choose to do it. This builds a level of discipline that motivation alone can never create. Motivation fades quickly, especially when conditions are not ideal. Discipline, however, shows up regardless of mood or circumstance. Once discipline becomes your habit, progress becomes inevitable. Self-reliance also strengthens faith in your abilities and faith in purpose. When you move forward alone, you are forced to believe before there is evidence. You work before there is proof. You sacrifice comfort for something you cannot yet see. This kind of belief deepens trust in the process. You begin to understand that results are not always immediate, but effort is never wasted. Every step forward, even the lonely ones, is building something unseen but meaningful. Finally, doing it alone prepares you for leadership. People who cannot stand alone often crumble when others depend on them. But when you have carried yourself through uncertainty and hardship, you develop inner stability. You no longer panic when pressure increases. You no longer seek constant reassurance. When others eventually join you, you are not desperate for their approval. You are prepared to guide them. The strength you built in solitude becomes the foundation for everything that follows. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that no one is coming to save you. At first, this realization can feel heavy, even discouraging, because it removes the comfort of expectation. We grow up believing that at some point, help will arrive in the form of a person, an opportunity, or a perfect moment. But life rarely works that way. Waiting for rescue often leads to wasted years and unrealized potential. The moment you understand that your progress depends on your own decisions, everything changes. You stop looking for shortcuts and start focusing on responsibility. This awareness is not meant to break you. It is meant to wake you up. When you accept that no one is coming, you gain control. Control over your time, your habits, and your direction. Instead of hoping someone will motivate you, you learn to motivate yourself. Instead of expecting someone to believe in you, you become your own source of belief. This shift is powerful because it places your future back in your hands. Even small actions begin to matter more because you know they are the only bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You stop blaming circumstances and start adjusting your behavior. This mindset also eliminates dependency. Dependency weakens growth because it ties your progress to someone else's availability or willingness. When your momentum depends on external help, any delay or rejection feels like a dead end. But when you rely on yourself, obstacles become problems to solve, not reasons to stop. You learn to adapt, to find alternatives, and to keep moving even when plans fall apart. This independence sharpens your problem-solving skills and builds confidence that cannot be shaken by rejection or disappointment. Understanding that no one is coming to save you also changes how you view failure. Failure no longer feels like a personal attack or a sign that you should quit. Instead, it becomes information. It tells you what didn't work and what needs adjustment. When there is no rescuer, you don't wait for someone to fix your mistakes. You fix them yourself. This process may be slow and uncomfortable, but it teaches patience and persistence. Over time, you develop a thicker skin and a clearer focus. Another important shift happens in how you value effort. When there is no one to fall back on, effort becomes non-negotiable. You begin to respect consistency over intensity. Big bursts of motivation are unreliable, but steady effort compounds. Each day you show up, even when you don't feel like it. You reinforce the belief that you can be trusted by yourself. This self-trust becomes a powerful source of inner peace because you no longer feel helpless in difficult situations. Accepting that no one is coming also strengthens your sense of purpose. You stop chasing validation and start chasing progress. You realize that your journey is personal and comparisons lose their power. Other people's timelines no longer distract you because you understand that they are not responsible for your outcomes. With this clarity, you move forward with intention. You take responsibility not just for success, but for becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable along the way. Loneliness is one of the most misunderstood parts of growth. People often see being alone as a sign of failure, rejection, or weakness. But in reality, loneliness is often a sign that you are evolving beyond your old environment. When you choose a different path, fewer people can walk it with you. Growth requires separation from comfort, from familiar routines, and sometimes from familiar faces. That separation creates quiet moments where doubt speaks louder and progress feels slower. Yet those moments are not meant to destroy you, they are meant to shape you. In loneliness, you confront yourself without distractions. There is no noise to drown out your thoughts, no crowd to hide behind. You are forced to face your fears, your insecurities, and your unresolved questions. This confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Without it, you never truly understand who you are or what you stand for. Loneliness strips away false confidence and replaces it with self-awareness. You learn what motivates you when no one is watching and what values guide you when no one is applauding. This season also teaches emotional independence. When companionship is absent, you can no longer rely on others to regulate your emotions. You learn how to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. You learn how to encourage yourself when discouragement sets in. Over time, this builds emotional strength. You become less reactive to external opinions and less affected by temporary setbacks. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you develop the ability to pause, reflect, and respond with intention. Loneliness also strengthens focus. When social noise is reduced, clarity increases. You begin to see where your energy has been wasted and where it should be invested. Distractions lose their appeal, and priorities become sharper. The absence of constant interaction creates space for deep work, meaningful reflection, and consistent effort. Many breakthroughs are born in isolation, not in crowds. The ideas that change lives are often developed in quiet rooms, not loud gatherings. Another powerful lesson of loneliness is patience. Growth does not happen overnight, and isolation makes time feel slower. Days feel longer when progress is invisible and encouragement is missing. But patience learned in loneliness is different from patience learned in comfort. It is earned. You learn to trust the process without constant reassurance. You learn to keep going without immediate results. This patience becomes a lifelong skill, allowing you to endure long journeys without losing faith. Loneliness also prepares you for healthier connections in the future. When you learn to stand alone, you stop clinging to people out of fear. You no longer seek relationships to fill emptiness, but to share wholeness. This changes the quality of your connections. You choose people based on alignment, not convenience. The time spent alone teaches you your worth, so you no longer accept relationships that drain or diminish you. In the end, loneliness during growth is not a punishment. It is preparation. It builds strength quietly, without recognition. It teaches lessons that crowds never could. Those who endure it come out more grounded, more focused, and more secure. The solitude that once felt heavy becomes the foundation of confidence that lasts long after the noise returns. Discipline is the quiet force that carries you forward when motivation disappears. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls based on mood, energy, and circumstance. Discipline, however, is a decision you make regardless of how you feel. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act, but progress belongs to those who act first and allow inspiration to catch up later. When you understand that discipline matters more than motivation, you stop negotiating with yourself and start moving with purpose. Discipline begins with small, repeated choices. It is waking up when it would be easier to stay asleep, starting work when procrastination feels more comfortable, and continuing when results are not yet visible. These choices may seem insignificant on their own, but over time they compound into massive change. Each disciplined action sends a message to your mind that you can be trusted. This self-trust becomes a powerful internal anchor, keeping you steady even when circumstances are unstable. Relying on motivation alone is dangerous because motivation is unpredictable. There will be days when enthusiasm is high and progress feels effortless, but there will also be days when doubt, fatigue, and frustration take over. If your actions depend on how you feel, inconsistency becomes your pattern. Discipline removes that risk. It creates structure where emotion cannot interfere. You do the work not because you want to, but because it needs to be done. Discipline also sharpens focus. When you commit to a routine, distractions lose their power. You no longer waste energy deciding whether or not to act. The decision has already been made. This mental clarity frees up space for deeper concentration and better execution. Instead of starting and stopping, you build momentum. Momentum makes progress feel lighter, even when the work remains hard. Another critical benefit of discipline is resilience. Discipline teaches you how to continue under pressure. When obstacles appear, disciplined individuals adjust rather than retreat. They understand that setbacks are part of the process, not a signal to quit. This mindset builds endurance. Over time, challenges that once felt overwhelming become manageable because you have trained yourself to respond with action instead of emotion. Discipline also protects your goals. Without it, distractions easily derail your path. Comfort becomes tempting, excuses become convincing, and time slips away unnoticed. Discipline acts as a guardrail, keeping you aligned with your long-term vision, even when short-term pleasure tries to pull you off course. It helps you choose progress over comfort, growth over ease. As discipline becomes a habit, confidence follows naturally. This confidence is not loud or dependent on recognition. It is calm and grounded. You know what you are capable of because you have proven it to yourself repeatedly. You stop seeking external validation because your consistency has already validated you. Discipline turns intention and action into identity, shaping not just what you do, but who you become. Faith combined with action is what transforms hope into reality. Faith on its own can feel comforting, but without action it remains only an idea. Many people believe deeply yet never move because they are waiting for certainty, signs, or perfect conditions. But real faith is not passive. It requires movement even when the outcome is unclear. When you take action before you feel ready, you demonstrate belief not just in a higher plan, but in your role within that plan. Action gives faith a direction. It turns belief into effort and effort into progress. When you move forward despite fear, doubt, or lack of resources, you activate opportunities that would otherwise remain invisible. Doors do not open for those who stand still. They open for those who knock, push, and sometimes fail before succeeding. Every step taken in uncertainty strengthens belief because it proves that growth is possible without guarantees. Faith with action also builds courage. Fear thrives in hesitation. The longer you wait, the larger fear becomes in your mind. Action interrupts that cycle. Even small steps weaken fear's grip by shifting your focus from what could go wrong to what can be done next. With each action, confidence grows, not because fear disappears, but because you learn to move alongside it. This courage becomes a skill you can rely on whenever new challenges arise. Another powerful effect of faith-driven action is resilience. When results are slow or setbacks occur, faith reminds you why you started. Action keeps you moving while faith keeps you grounded. Together, they create balance. Without faith, setbacks feel personal and discouraging. Without action, faith feels empty and frustrating. Combined, they allow you to endure difficulty without losing direction. You understand that delay is not denial and that effort is still meaningful even when rewards are not immediate. Faith and action also refine your character. Acting on belief requires honesty with yourself. You begin to recognize when you are truly committed and when you are simply hoping. This awareness eliminates self-deception. You stop saying you believe in something unless you are willing to work for it. Over time, this alignment between belief and behavior builds integrity. You become someone whose actions reflect their values, and that consistency earns self-respect. This combination also expands your vision. As you act in faith, your perspective widens. You begin to see possibilities instead of limitations. Each effort reveals new skills, new connections, and new understanding. Even failures become valuable because they provide feedback and direction. Faith helps you see failure as part of growth rather than a final judgment. Action ensures that lessons are learned through experience, not just thought. Ultimately, faith with action creates momentum. Momentum is powerful because it reduces resistance. What once felt impossible becomes manageable through consistent movement. You stop waiting for confidence to appear and instead build it through doing. Faith keeps you believing in the journey, and action keeps you on the path. Together, they turn uncertainty into progress and belief into something real and lasting. Your journey is yours alone, and understanding this changes everything about how you move through life. From the outside, it may seem like people are walking beside you, family, friends, mentors, but the truth is that no one can think your thoughts, feel your fears, or carry your exact responsibilities. At the deepest level, the path you are on is uniquely yours. The dreams in your heart were given to you specifically. The challenges you face are tailored to shape you. When you truly accept that your journey is personal, you stop comparing it to anyone else's timeline. Comparison is one of the biggest distractions from growth. When you measure your progress against someone else's success, you ignore the differences in background, opportunity, timing, and purpose. You start questioning your pace instead of respecting your process. But when you understand that your journey is yours alone, you shift your focus inward. You ask better questions. Am I improving? Am I learning? Am I staying consistent? These questions build self-awareness instead of insecurity. Owning your journey also means owning your decisions. Every choice you make moves you either forward or backward. Blaming others for your circumstances becomes less tempting when you realize that your direction is your responsibility. This does not mean life is always fair or easy, but it does mean you have power in how you respond. When setbacks happen, you adjust. When opportunities appear, you act. You stop waiting for someone to validate your path and start trusting your instincts. Another important aspect of walking your own journey is embracing solitude without resentment. There will be seasons when fewer people understand what you are trying to build. Some may doubt you, some may drift away, and some may simply not relate to your ambitions. Instead of seeing this as rejection, see it as alignment. Not everyone is meant to walk every mile with you. Some people are part of a chapter, not the whole story. Accepting this prevents bitterness and keeps your energy focused on progress. Your journey also carries lessons that only you can fully understand. The struggles you overcome give you insights that cannot be borrowed from someone else. The mistakes you make teach you in ways advice never could. These experiences shape your character and prepare you for responsibilities ahead. When success eventually comes, it will feel earned because you remember every obstacle you faced alone. That memory builds gratitude and humility. Walking your own path strengthens your identity. You stop living according to expectations and start living according to conviction. Decisions become clearer because they align with who you are becoming, not who others want you to be. Confidence grows from this alignment. It is no longer fragile or dependent on applause. It becomes steady because it is rooted in self-understanding. In the end, realizing that your journey is yours alone does not isolate you. It empowers you. It frees you from the pressure to compete and the fear of falling behind. It allows you to move at your own pace, guided by purpose rather than comparison. And as you continue forward, step by step, you build a life that reflects your effort, your growth, and your commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight. Life is hard. If anybody ever told you that happiness comes from a perfect life, they lied to you. Ain't nobody in here got a perfect life. Everybody in this room has lost something, been disappointed by someone, prayed for something that didn't happen, and smiled while their heart was tired. So if you're waiting on life to get easy before you decide to be happy, you're going to be waiting forever. Happiness is not about what happens to you. Happiness is about what you decide while life is happening to you. You wake up every single day and you make a choice. You can either let your problems control your spirit, or you can protect your joy and say, today I'm still going to be thankful. That don't mean you don't hurt. It just means hurt doesn't get the final word. See, a lot of people think happiness means laughing all the time. No, happiness means peace. It means even when things are heavy, your heart ain't broken. It means even when the storm is loud, your faith is louder. You don't need everything to go right to still believe that God is working it out. Sometimes happiness is just knowing, this ain't the end of my story. Gratitude will change your life. I don't care how bad it is, it could always be worse. When you start thanking God for what you still have instead of crying about what you lost, something shifts inside you. You're still breathing. That's a blessing. You're still standing. That's grace. You're still trying. That's strength you didn't even know you had. Gratitude turns survival into joy. Now let me talk about faith. Faith don't mean you understand everything. Faith means you trust God even when you don't. Some of your hardest days are preparing you for your strongest seasons. God will let you go through things not to break you, but to build you. And when you know that, you stop asking, why me? And start saying, what you teaching me? Let me tell you something you need to hear today. Not something that sounds good, but something that's real. Happiness is not a reward you get when life finally behaves. Happiness is a decision you make every single morning when you open your eyes. Too many people are waiting on conditions to change before they give themselves permission to smile. They say, I'll be happy when I get the money, when I get the job, when the relationship works out, when the pain goes away. But life don't work like that. If happiness depends on life being perfect, you'll never touch it. See, life is always going to bring something. There will always be a bill, a setback, a disappointment, a delay, or a loss. The problem is not that life is hard. The problem is thinking happiness is supposed to be easy. Happiness is not a feeling that falls on you. It's a choice you stand up and make, even when your emotions are tired. You don't wake up happy by accident. You wake up and decide how much power you're going to give your problems today. Some mornings you wake up heavy. Your mind starts reminding you of everything that's wrong before your feet even hit the floor. That's when the decision shows up. You can let your thoughts drag you back into yesterday, or you can say, no, today I'm choosing a better attitude. That don't mean you're ignoring reality. It means you're refusing to let reality crush your spirit. You can acknowledge pain without letting it control you. A lot of people think happiness is loud. They think it's excitement, celebration, and everything going your way. But real happiness is quiet strength. It's peace. It's being okay even when things aren't okay yet. It's being able to say, I don't like what's happening, but I'm not going to lose myself because of it. That's maturity. That's growth. That's power. You see, when you decide to be happy daily, you stop giving people and situations the remote control to your emotions. Everybody can't press your buttons anymore. Every bad moment doesn't ruin your whole day. You learn how to separate what happened from who you are. Something bad can happen to you without becoming you. And that understanding alone will change your life. Happiness as a daily decision means you take responsibility for your inner world. You stop blaming your joy on other people. You stop saying, if they change, I'll be happy. No, happiness starts when you change how you respond. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how long it stays in your head. Some people relive one bad moment all day long, all week long, all year long. That's not life doing that to you. That's a choice. When you decide happiness daily, you also learn to appreciate small wins. You stop waiting on big miracles to feel good. You start noticing the little things that prove you're still blessed. Waking up, breathing, another chance, another try, another lesson. Those small acknowledgments build emotional strength. They remind you that even on hard days, life is still giving you something to work with. This decision doesn't mean you don't cry. Strong people cry. It doesn't mean you don't get tired. Everybody gets tired. It means you don't quit on your joy just because the road got rough. You keep choosing light even when darkness shows up. You keep choosing hope even when results are slow. You keep choosing to believe that this day, right here, still has value. Happiness is not something you find at the end of the journey. It's something you practice while you're on the road. Every day you wake up, life asks you a question. Who's in charge today, you or your circumstances? And every day, you answer that question with your attitude. Let me share something that can completely change the way you experience life, especially when it feels heavy. Gratitude is not pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Gratitude is choosing to focus on what's still right when so much feels wrong. Life has a way of knocking things out of your hands, and when that happens, most people stare at what they lost so long that they forget what they're still holding. That's how joy slips away. When life gets hard, your mind naturally runs toward the problem. It replays the pain, the mistake, the betrayal, the fear. That's normal. But what's dangerous is living there. The moment you train your mind to only look at what's missing, you start feeling empty even when you're still blessed. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. It shifts your attention from what you don't have to what you do have, and that shift alone can bring peace into a chaotic heart. Some people think gratitude is for people who have everything. That's not true. Gratitude is for people who have been through something and are still standing. You don't have to be rich to be thankful. You don't have to be pain-free to be grateful. If you woke up today, that's something. If you can breathe without a machine, that's something. If you can still dream, still hope, still try again, that's something powerful. Gratitude changes how pain feels. It doesn't erase it, but it softens it. When you start thanking God in the middle of difficulty, you stop feeling like a victim and start feeling like a survivor. You begin to realize, this situation didn't take everything from me. I still have strength. I still have faith. I still have a future. And that realization builds emotional strength that nothing outside of you can steal. Here's the truth: what you focus on grows. If you focus on lack, you feel poor even when you have enough. If you focus on loss, you feel broken even when you're healing. But when you focus on gratitude, your heart begins to feel full again. Not because life is perfect, but because you recognize that life is still working with you, not completely against you. Gratitude also humbles you. It reminds you that everything you have didn't come just from your own effort. It reminds you that grace carried you through moments you didn't think you would survive. And when you remember that, you stop complaining about small inconveniences. You stop letting minor frustrations ruin your entire day. You become calmer, wiser, and more patient with yourself and others. A grateful person sleeps better at night, not because they don't have worries, but because they trust that tomorrow is still possible. Gratitude builds that trust. It tells your heart, we've been through worse, and we're still here. That kind of thinking strengthens you from the inside out. It turns survival into confidence. When life is hard, gratitude becomes a weapon. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, I have nothing, you start saying, I still have enough to keep going. And that mindset doesn't just change your mood. It changes your direction. Gratitude teaches you to respect the journey. You stop rushing your life, comparing your path to others, and feeling behind. You realize that your timing is your timing. Your struggle is shaping you for something that comfort never could. And suddenly, even the hard days start to feel meaningful. When you practice gratitude daily, happiness doesn't depend on good news anymore. It comes from awareness. Awareness that even on the worst days, there is still something worth appreciating. And that awareness becomes a steady source of peace that life cannot easily take away. Let me talk to you about something that holds people together when life feels unfair and confusing. Faith. Now, I'm not talking about a faith that sounds good when everything is going right. I'm talking about the kind of faith you lean on when nothing makes sense, when your prayers feel unanswered, and when your heart is tired from hoping. That kind of faith is what gives happiness depth. Without it, happiness becomes fragile and temporary. Life will put you in situations you didn't plan for and never asked for. Doors close without explanation. People change without warning. Dreams take longer than expected. In those moments, if you don't have faith, your mind starts filling in the gaps with fear. You start assuming the worst. You start believing that this pain is permanent. Faith steps in and says, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's over. Faith gives meaning to suffering. Without meaning, pain feels pointless. But when you believe there's a purpose behind what you're going through, the weight becomes easier to carry. You stop feeling punished and start feeling prepared. You realize that some lessons only come through pressure. Some strength only shows up when life demands it from you. A lot of people lose happiness because they try to control everything. Faith teaches you how to release what you can't control. It reminds you that you're not carrying life alone. When you trust that God is guiding your steps, you don't panic as much about the future. You stop rushing the process. You learn how to wait without losing your peace. Faith doesn't mean you won't have doubts. Everybody has doubts. Faith means you don't let those doubts make decisions for you. You keep moving forward even when confidence is low. You keep believing even when results are slow. And that persistence builds inner peace. It tells your heart, I'm going to be okay, even if I don't know how yet. When life is hard, faith keeps you from becoming bitter. Without it, disappointment turns into anger, and anger turns into resentment. Faith softens your heart. It helps you forgive people who hurt you and release situations you can't change. And forgiveness is directly connected to happiness. You can't be free while you're holding on to resentment. Faith also reminds you of your worth. When things go wrong, it's easy to blame yourself and feel like a failure. Faith says, you are more than your mistakes. You are more than this moment. It lifts your identity above your circumstances. And when you know who you are, situations stop defining you. Happiness becomes possible again when faith tells you that this chapter is not the whole book. That what you're experiencing now is temporary, even if it feels long. Faith stretches your perspective. It helps you see beyond today's pain and believe in tomorrow's promise. That belief alone can bring peace into the darkest moments. Faith gives you courage to keep showing up. Even on days when you don't feel strong, faith says, try again. It reminds you that progress doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes just getting up, praying and moving forward quietly is victory, and those small victories add up to a life that feels meaningful. When you live with faith, happiness stops being dependent on outcomes. It becomes rooted in trust. Trust that even when life is hard, you're being guided, protected, and shaped into something stronger than you were before. Let me tell you something most people don't like to hear, but it's the truth. If you don't protect your joy, nobody else will. Discipline is not just about waking up early, working hard, or staying focused on your goals. Discipline is also about controlling what you allow into your mind, your heart, and your spirit. When life is hard, undisciplined, thinking will drain your happiness faster than any problem ever could. Every day, negativity is looking for a way in. Complaints, gossip, bad news, social media, other people's opinions, and even your own thoughts can slowly poison your peace. If you don't set boundaries, you'll wake up in a bad mood without even knowing why. Discipline is learning how to say, that's enough, to anything that threatens your inner peace. Some people let one bad moment ruin their entire day. One comment, one mistake, one delay, and suddenly their happiness is gone. That's not because life is cruel. It's because there's no emotional discipline. Discipline teaches you how to separate moments from meaning. A bad moment does not mean a bad life. A setback does not mean failure. When you learn that, your emotions stop swinging with every situation. Discipline also means knowing when to walk away. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your attention. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Protecting your peace sometimes means being quiet, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Silence can save your joy in ways words never will. One of the hardest disciplines is learning how to control your reactions. Life will test you. People will push buttons on purpose. Situations will feel unfair, but reacting emotionally gives control to the very thing you're trying to escape. Discipline helps you pause, breathe, and choose a response that serves your peace, not your ego. And every time you do that, you feel stronger inside. Discipline also shows up in your routines. What you feed your mind daily matters. If you start your day with negativity, your mood follows. If you end your day with stress, your sleep suffers. Creating simple habits like prayer, reflection, or quiet time builds emotional stability. These small disciplines create a foundation for happiness that doesn't collapse when life shakes. Protecting your joy means being honest with yourself. Some environments drain you. Some relationships exhaust you. Discipline is admitting that and making changes even when it's uncomfortable. Happiness doesn't always require adding something new to your life. Sometimes it requires removing what no longer serves you. Discipline teaches you that peace is more valuable than being right. You don't win every battle by fighting. Sometimes the real victory is walking away with your joy intact. When you stop needing validation from others, happiness becomes lighter and more consistent. Life will always have chaos. Discipline doesn't remove the chaos, it creates order inside of you. It helps you stay calm while everything around you is noisy. It keeps your joy from being fragile. And when your joy is protected, happiness becomes something you carry within you, not something life can take away. Let me talk to you about purpose, because when life gets hard, purpose is the reason you don't quit. A lot of people lose happiness, not because life defeated them, but because they forgot why they started. When you don't know your purpose, every obstacle feels personal, every delay feels like rejection, and every hard day feels pointless. But when you know there's a reason behind your existence, pain no longer feels meaningless. Purpose gives direction to your suffering. Without it, pain just hurts. With it, pain teaches. You start understanding that some of the toughest seasons in your life are shaping you for something bigger than what you can see right now. Purpose reminds you that you're not just going through something, you're growing through it. When you live without purpose, emotions control you. You feel motivated one day and empty the next. You chase comfort instead of fulfillment. Purpose changes that. It gives you a reason to keep moving even when motivation disappears. Because motivation is temporary, but purpose is steady. It doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on who you're becoming. Life will knock you down. That's guaranteed. But purpose determines whether you stay down or get back up. When you know why you're here, you don't let one failure define you. You don't let one bad season cancel your future. You understand that setbacks are part of the process, not the end of the road. Purpose also protects you from comparison. When you're clear on your assignment, you stop measuring your life against others. You stop rushing your journey. You stop feeling behind. You realize that everybody's path is different and timing is not a competition. That clarity brings peace, and peace is a big part of happiness. A purpose-driven life doesn't mean an easy life. In fact, it often means a harder one. Purpose will demand discipline, sacrifice, and patience. But it also gives deep satisfaction. You wake up knowing that even if today is tough, it matters. That sense of meaning makes happiness possible even on difficult days. Purpose keeps you grounded when emotions fluctuate. Some days you feel strong, other days you feel tired. Purpose doesn't change. It keeps pulling you forward. It reminds you that quitting is not an option, not because you're forced to continue, but because you believe in what you're building. Many people confuse success with purpose. Success is about what you achieve. Purpose is about who you impact and who you become. When you live for purpose, happiness stops being about applause and starts being about alignment. You feel good because your actions match your values, not because others approve. Purpose also gives you resilience. When something doesn't work out, you don't fall apart. You adjust, you learn, you grow. You understand that sometimes God redirects you, not to punish you, but to place you where you're needed most. That understanding keeps your heart light, even in disappointment. When life is hard, purpose gives you a reason to wake up and try again. It whispers, you're still needed. Your story isn't finished. Your best contribution is still ahead. And when you live with that belief, happiness becomes less about comfort and more about fulfillment, which lasts much longer. Let me finish this by talking about something people underestimate, especially when life gets heavy: laughter and hope. Now listen to me carefully. Laughing does not mean you are ignoring your problems. Smiling does not mean you don't feel pain. Laughing means life didn't beat the life out of you. It means after everything you've been through, you're still standing with your spirit intact. Life has a way of trying to harden your heart. Disappointments pile up. Losses change you. People let you down. And if you're not careful, you stop smiling, stop dreaming, and stop believing that good days are still possible. That's when happiness really disappears. Not when things go wrong, but when hope leaves the room. Hope is not pretending everything is going to be perfect. Hope is believing that things can get better. Hope says, this hurts, but it won't last forever. Without hope, even good moments feel empty. With hope, even hard moments feel survivable. Hope gives you something to hold on to when answers don't come fast. Laughter is one of the strongest survival tools God gave us. You laugh not because everything is funny, but because laughter reminds you that you're still human. It releases tension. It lifts your spirit. It gives your mind a break from carrying too much weight. Sometimes laughing is the only way to breathe when life feels suffocating. Some people feel guilty for smiling during hard times. They think happiness means disrespecting their pain. That's not true. Smiling doesn't erase what you've been through. It honors the fact that you survived it. It says, I went through hell, but I didn't stay there. And that's powerful. Hope keeps you moving when motivation is gone. There will be days you don't feel like getting up, trying again, or believing anymore. Hope steps in and says, just take one more step. Not the whole staircase. Just one step. And sometimes that's all you need to change direction. Laughter also helps you stop taking everything so personally. Not every setback is an attack. Not every delay is a denial. Sometimes life is just life. When you learn to laugh at yourself, at situations, and at the unpredictability of life, you regain control over your emotions. You stop letting every inconvenience steal your joy. Hope teaches patience. It helps you understand that timing matters. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. Some blessings take time because they require growth first. Hope allows you to wait without becoming bitter. And bitterness is one of the biggest enemies of happiness. When life is hard, surround yourself with things that lift your spirit. Music, laughter, encouraging words, moments of joy, even if they're small. Those moments recharge you. They remind you that darkness doesn't cancel light. Light always exists somewhere if you're willing to look for it. Hope also changes how you speak. Instead of saying, I can't, you start saying, I'm trying. Instead of saying, it's over, you start saying, it's not finished. Words matter. What you say to yourself every day either builds hope or destroys it. And happiness grows where hope is spoken. Life will always challenge you. That's guaranteed. But laughter keeps your heart soft and hope keeps your future open. And when you hold on to both, happiness doesn't disappear when life gets hard. It evolves. It becomes stronger, deeper, and harder to break.